I always believed marriage was built on trust, honesty, and loyalty. For years, I thought my wife and I shared a bond that couldn't be broken. We laughed together, we planned for the future, and we faced struggles side by side. But over time, small cracks began to form. She started staying out late, offering excuses about work dinners and nights out with friends. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt, because that's what husbands are supposed to do. I told myself she was just busy, maybe overwhelmed, and I didn't want to be the insecure husband questioning her every move. Still, deep in my gut, something felt wrong, something I couldn't fully ignore. The signs slowly became impossible to dismiss. She guarded her phone like it held nuclear codes, smiling at messages, then locking the screen the second I entered the room. Her perfume clung to her clothes long after she should have been home, and she often went straight into the shower when she returned, as if trying to wash the night away. Even then, I kept telling myself that doubting her was a betrayal on my part. That belief held until one night when I finally followed my instincts. She said she was meeting a friend for drinks, but I waited near the bar, watching from my car. My heart dropped when I saw her wrapped in another man's arms, kissing him with a passion I thought was meant only for me. That moment shattered everything. Every memory we shared, every laugh, every plan, suddenly felt like a cruel lie. I drove home in silence, my mind torn between rage and heartbreak. I realized I had two choices. I could confront her immediately, or I could let her walk back into our home and expose herself without even knowing it. That's when the idea of revenge surfaced. Not violence, not chaos, but something colder, something that would force her to face the weight of what she'd done. I wanted her to slip into our bed, believing her secret was safe, only to discover I already knew everything. I spent the night preparing. I printed the photos I had taken of her kissing him, hugging him, holding hands like careless teenagers. Each picture told the story of her lies, of the life she had been living behind my back. I arranged them carefully on her pillow, right where her head would rest. I also wrote a short note, 5 simple words. I know it's over now. My hands trembled as I placed the evidence, yet inside I felt strangely calm. The truth was no longer hidden. I didn't need to shout or argue. The photos in the note would speak for me. Hours later, I heard her key turn in the lock. My heart pounded, not with love, but with anticipation. She slipped inside quietly, assuming I was asleep. I pretended to snore as she moved around, undressing and sliding under the covers like she had so many nights before. But this time was different. She reached for her pillow, her fingers brushing against the papers I had left behind. Confusion flickered through her movements as she lifted the photos into the dim glow of her phone. The gasp that left her lips was sharp enough to cut through the silence. Her breathing sped up as she flicked through each image, realizing she had been caught in every lie she thought she'd escaped. Then she read the note. I felt her body stiffen beside me, trembling under the weight of exposure. She whispered my name, her voice breaking. But I stayed silent, eyes closed, letting her sit in the shock of betrayal reflected back at her. For once, the roles were reversed. She was the one afraid of what came next. Finally, I opened my eyes. The look on her face is one I'll never forget. Wide-eyed, pale, desperate. Please, she stammered, it's not what it looks like. The classic excuse. I almost laughed. The proof was in her hands, undeniable. I sat up slowly, meeting her gaze with a calm that unsettled her more than any yelling ever could. You crawled back into this bed like nothing happened, I said evenly. But you forgot one thing. I already knew. She tried to reach for me, but I pulled away. The wall between us now impossible to cross. She begged, tears streaming down her face, swearing it was a mistake, insisting she still loved me. Every word sounded empty, like an actor reciting lines from a poorly written script. I told her the truth she didn't want to hear. Love doesn't look like sneaking around. Love doesn't look like lies. Love doesn't look like him. With every word, she seemed to shrink, folding under the weight of her own guilt. Her pleas grew frantic, but my resolve only hardened. I knew then our marriage was over. I got out of bed, grabbed the small suitcase I had packed earlier, and walked toward the door. She tried to stop me, gripping my arm, but I gently pulled free. This house, this bed, this life, we built it together. But you destroyed it the moment you chose him over me. Her sobs filled the room as I walked away, but I didn't turn back. For once, I wasn't the one left in pieces. I was taking control, reclaiming my dignity, and leaving with my head held high. The next morning she called, texted, even showed up at my workplace, but I ignored every attempt. The photos I left behind said everything. There was nothing left to say. She crawled into our bed believing she could live 2 lives, but instead she found my revenge waiting. Not anger, not violence, just the truth exposed. And sometimes the cold truth hurts more than anything else. In the end, she lost me, and I found freedom.